I was thinking about this morning. I was like, remember when Google I/O was Sergey Brin jumping out of a helicopter with Google Glass on and landing in San Francisco?
Live.
And
I
then
remember that.
Live, and then we got Project Aura, which was the modular smartphone with all the bits and pieces. I mean...
We got I/O announcement.
We got like Project Loon, which was like bringing internet to like random countries.
Are all these things that you've said so far dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still fun at I/O though. Yeah.
Like I remember being like,
what was last year's Starline?
Project Starline. We at least got that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just remember being like in high school and being like, wow, Google is such a cool company. I want to work there. I wanted to work there so bad. I was like, everything they do is just a moonshot idea. It might not work out, but it doesn't matter because it's all funded by search, which is cool. It's like they have an infinite money machine that keeps churning, and because of that, they can just do whatever the heck they want. And this year, it kind of felt like they were pivoting to be a B2B company. I'm not going to lie. They talked about AI models constantly. They talked about the price that they're charging developers to access their AI models, which is something Microsoft would do, which is something OpenAI would do. But that is not something that Google used to do at Google I/O.
Yeah, I/O's changed. I/O's definitely changed.
This year felt like
it felt like, do you know the like part in every I/O where they talk about all their servers and TPUs and all that, and there's like that exact same graphic every single year? First of all, that graphic got used probably 45 times. Whoever made that is not getting paid enough for how much they use the likeness of it. But it felt like that, like end 25 minutes of every I/O where you're like, all right, all the cool stuff happened. Like, when are we getting out of there? That felt like the entire event. It was like the most low energy I/O I've ever seen. I mean, I've only been here covering it for like 7 years, but just all of the things, nothing they announced had this like real wow factor. There was very few times where my Twitter timeline was all like, this is so cool. They just announced this. Like, nobody really had that one thing where it was real. And we've had like last year, visualize routes on maps was this really cool visual example. We've had like the chain link fence that I reference all the time. Like, yes, there are things that did not come out.
That was I/O, yeah.
That was I/O. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was cool, and it had that like wow moment. The crowd seemed out of it this year. Almost all of the announcers, I felt also felt low energy, except for Samir. He did a great job and felt as high energy as normal. But like, I don't know. And the whole event felt like it was dragging from the first terrible Taylor Swift joke they made in like the first 1 minute. And then they proceeded to make a bunch of other bad Taylor Swift jokes that really felt like Gemini wrote it. But yeah.
This might be a silly question because I didn't watch it. When you said Samir, do you mean like from YouTube?
No.
The Android.
I'm forgetting his, the guy from Android. And what was a bummer was he was basically like, new things coming to Android, and then just had to say the exact same Gemini things just in like basically a mobile version.
Samir Samat, he's the president of Android ecosystem.
And he had his like same energy, which just made all of the presenters around him feel low energy.
Everyone felt really low.
I don't know what was going on, but it felt low energy. I think a perfect way to wrap up kind of that we weren't the same people feeling this is Ben at 9 to 5 Google posted an article this morning that said, so Google made a 10-minute recap. And his article says Google's 10-minute I/O recap is somehow just as tedious as the full event.
And I/O usually isn't tedious until the last like 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah. Like it's usually like, cool. Wow, I didn't even think of the fact that you could do that with machine learning. Wow, you can get rid of a chain link fence. You can't. But still, like all of this stuff that genuinely blew my mind that I feel like we also used to see when every Pixel would drop.
Yeah.
There would always be one or two cool AI features that were like, wow, I'm so excited for this year. And there was there was like a couple of things that were like, I'm glad Gemini's doing that now.
I can name like three, which we'll get into.
We'll get into. But everything else felt really corporate. It felt B2B, which was really weird.
It was surprising to me because they also made the distinct choice to separate the Pixel 8a announcement out of I/O.
Right.
So we had a separate Pixel 8a happen like a week, 2 weeks before I/O.
Yeah.
And then to me, that was like, oh, I/O's stacked this year. We don't even have room for the Pixel 8a.
Not.
And so that's why it's surprising.
And I had a lot of people say on Twitter that like, oh, it's just because there's not a lot of hardware stuff that's tomorrow. But like they have done cool visually interesting things software wise before and with AI before. That's not the reason. It was just not a good I/O this year. But I want to do two cool things about it, while we then will continue to be mean about it for the rest of this episode. I'm sad we didn't go because Google I/O swag is always fantastic, and the swag they had this year looked great. I posted some photos of it, so like I think they did a great design this year. The tote looks awesome, the crew neck looks awesome, the water bottle's sick. I'm really sad we missed that.
I'm sad if that's the most exciting part.
Well, no, the most exciting part was Marc Rebillet opening as the DJ. He did a fantastic job. If anything, his vibes are too immaculate that everything after him feels boring.
He tried to do what he always does in at the beginning of shows, and he was just trying to bring his same energy. And I texted him afterwards. I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that crowd. And he was like, I did what I could.
My favorite part is that, again, as an American, units of measurement really confuse me. And so when they measured Gemini's contextual ability in
tokens,
in number of Cheesecake Factory menus worth of words.
Right.
I was like,
that was worse.
Gemini can hold 95 Cheesecake Factory menus worth of context at one time.
That's it?
That seems like...
Bro, have you been to the Cheesecake Factory? Oh my God.
Is the menu really big?
It's a book.
It's a book. Adam could have a book club that no one would join him with.
I need to go to a restaurant that has like 3 options. I don't want
never go to the
cheesecake menu for 3 weeks now. I'm on the 70th page. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. So besides Marc's immaculate entrance, in which he had for viewers and listeners that don't know who Marc is, he makes music on the spot sort of person, and they had him use the music LM thing to try to like generate music and then play with it.
He's like an improv genius.
Yeah, he's an improv genius. It was very tough because the crowd was tough. The music LM didn't work that well, and the beats that it was giving him were not that funky. A lot of problems. He wears a lot of robes. They had custom Google I/O Marc Rebillet robes, and he shot them out of a cannon. And then Sundar came on stage, and the energy just went boom into the ground. Okay, so there were actually some interesting things, and they actually did start off with a couple pretty interesting things. They started off with what I think was one of the most interesting things, which was an update to Google Photos, where now you can just contextually ask Google Photos to show you certain pictures and also ask questions about your photos. So you can say, and I actually used Google Photos to find my license plate 1,000,000 times last year.
That's so
Do that all
funny.
the time.
I've never done
now
that.
in Google Photos, now I memorize my license plate, but in Google Photos, you can now say, what's my license plate number again? And it'll bring up pictures of your license plate, which is cool. You can say, show me how Lucia's swimming has progressed, and it'll bring up a bunch of photos and videos you took of your daughter swimming. So it can understand the context of, okay, this is what you're asking, and then map that to what it tagged the photos as of being. And I think that's actually really sick.
I do think the license plate example was perfect because they were like, normally you would just search license plate, and now every license plate in your
You get
Google
every
Photos
car
comes
you've
up.
ever taken a photo of shows up.
And then you say my license plate number, and it's like, oh, this is a car that I see pretty often, so it must be your license plate. Let me find one picture that has it and only show you that one picture so you don't have to scroll through a bunch.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like this. And I think because the results are specifically pulling from your photos, it can avoid hallucinating. Because it's going to give you the
It'll find a
exact
way.
source.
It also, because, it just has to show you an image. It's not generating something.
Because before, so if I wanted to find my license plate, I had this actually, for example, I was in the back of a car and I was going to go to the airport, and they're like, I just need your passport number and your signature. And I was like, okay, here's my signature. I don't have it's in the trunk, but I just pulled up Google Photos and I just searched passport, and I got the latest photo that I took of my passport, and I just got it from there.
Yeah.
Instead, theoretically, I would just ask Google Photos, what's my passport number?
Yeah.
And it would give me my passport number. And as long as I also can see that it's referencing an image of my passport and not some other random photo I have of a passport, I think I'm good.
Well, it doesn't
give you a text output. It just shows you the photo.
one picture. So I think that actually solves the
I think
issue.
you could probably ask Gemini at some point, what's my passport number? And it would pull it up, and then it would probably potentially reference the photo. But right now, this Google Photos update, it's just an easier way to ask Google Photos to show you specific pictures.
That's neat.
It kind of feels like,
Which I like more than generative AI.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
It feels like the magic of what Google search has been, where everyone makes the joke of like, what's that song that goes ba 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 ba? It's like you can ask it some pretty crazy questions, and now in Google Photos you can just be way more specific, and it can find things easier for you.
Yeah.
And Google Photos search has always been one of my favorite features ever. Just like being able to search through different things and it can tell kind of what they are and create albums or look at places that you've been to. And now being able to go a little more into that, where maybe I'm like, what was that trail I hiked in Glacier National Park in 2019? And like, if I took a picture of the trail sign, it'll probably come up as like Cracker Lake Trail. And then that's awesome. And I don't have to just search through every single thing that was in Montana.
Yeah, I often will think, oh yeah, I went on that trip. I think it was in 2019. So I'll search like mountains 2019, and I have to sort through all of the mountains that I took a picture of in 2019 until I find it. Maybe it's not that year, so now I can ask it like, show me the mountains when I was in Italy the last time. And yeah. It can still do sort of those things right now, but it's just a lot more contextual, which is beneficial.
Yeah. It's helping, because a lot of people didn't even know you could search Google Photos for things and it would find them very specifically. So it's just making this prompt engineering less of a skill. You just type what you're thinking and it can find it.
Which is why I think they specifically use the prompt, what's my license plate number again? Because it sounds more human. Like the way that I would probably prompt that is my license plate, and it would bring it up, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas a normal person says, what's my license plate number again? Because I think the ultimate goal is like be able to have natural speech computing with these computers.
With every prompt.
Yeah. I think our generation grew up learning how to speak Google, which is keyword. It's a keyword language. You have to know how to Google, and you're basically just picking out keywords.
We've talked about this. Like prompt engineering is the skill that we all learned.
Yeah.
And now it
wants the old people and the young people
ironed out
to be able to do it.
Yeah, where young people just go like, write me some code, and it just does it.
Yeah.
You just don't have to know how to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea, Ellis. Why don't you look into doing some
You're
more
telling me
math?
that this is a great idea. I'm going to look into that math for you.
But you were positive enough. Be more positive.
Huh?
You want me to be positive. I will be positive
Now
in my
talk
future
faster.
response. I am trying to talk faster.
Well, slow
but
it down a little bit.
So you want to hear about the Empire State Building?
I couldn't help
I
with
love
that.
tall buildings.
But I found this on the web.
How do I like and subscribe?
What's the web? Generative. I'm just generating your page.
I can't help with that.
Sorry.
Like and subscribe.